Steeplechasing. Sounds like a name that might be given for running down certain streets in the Bible Belt that are lined with every denomination of church you can think of. But meet us at the table to hear more about the origins of a steeplechase.
I'm Lainey.
And I'm Laura Beth. And we are
Steel Magnolias. The strength of steel with the grace of a magnolia.
We are here to have uplifting conversations about life in the South.
And we've got plenty of room at our table, so pull up a chair.
Welcome back to the Steel Magnolias podcast. We hope that you're having a good week so far. Thanks for coming to the table with us.
Yes.
I will say, I wasn't planning to say this, but if you want to connect with us more, we have a newsletter that we send out monthly, and we have an active Instagram account. So I will have both of those links in our show notes if you would like just a little bit more pictures or sort of tidbits from us from week to week.
Jump on there.
Yeah. So I can safely say the word steeplechase is not something that I've thought about before. And it is a very strange word.
It is a funny word. And yeah, I don't know that I ever had either. I mean, I think I had thought that's a funny word, but never like dug in, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, we're going to get into some specific races later, but I think I thought that since Nashville has a steeplechase race that's very popular here, that it was sort of a word just
for here?
For this race.
Okay.
So not true.
No, I knew that there were others. I've never been to any of the others, only the Iroquois here in Nashville.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a thing. Steeplechasing is a thing.
So yeah, where did that word come from for real?
Okay, so
not like
it's my understanding from digging into this. Hunting is like a direct ancestor of steeplechasing.
Yes.
And so in that hunting world, especially like fox hunting world, they would be on horseback and, with letting the hounds out or, to go on a fox hunt. Mm-hmm. And then oftentimes, this is, as I read it, the way the word came about is they would race to landmarks.
Which makes sense.
Which makes perfect sense. And church steeples are the highest thing in the city. So it was, a race to the steeple.
Yes, steeple to steeple.
Yeah.
And it makes total sense because a lot of skylines that you see, you can recognize a steeple. You're right. It's a highest point, especially in this time period before skyscrapers.
That's right. And I just love that about an old city, an old little small town or something. That really was the concept of we want to be the highest.
Yes.
The church wanted people to be able to see it.
Yeah.
So they could come.
Right. So often
easily find.
Oftentimes on a hill or a hilltop or.
That's right.
Yeah.
It would be the highest point.
So not necessarily even building the highest point, but putting it actually up
where
on the highest
seen.
Landscape. Yeah. Yeah. So riders would have to jump through obstacles in an Irish countryside that were like naturally there. Stone wall, well, not naturally there, man-made too. But
but there's stone walls everywhere in Ireland.
Fences, ditches.
They got to keep their sheep in the pastures.
That's
and
true,
stuff, right? So there's
true.
little stone walls all over the place.
Bodies of water weren't out of limits either. Streams and little river banks and things. So it was a very treacherous sort of course.
And you mentioned Ireland. That's where this all began.
Yes. Yeah. So I wanted to say, even from the National Steeplechase Association, that we got to always remember America is a new country. It doesn't seem like that all the time, but in America and elsewhere, the sport celebrates a long tradition, again, between man and horse. And today, the sport has grown out of the hunting field, as you mentioned, and tons of athleticism, strength, sure-footedness. Oh my gosh, Can you imagine the balance required to stay on the horse? I feel like my stomach's like clenching up. Just
getting
even
a workout just thinking about it.
But in England, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, she was an avid fan and participant for more than half a century. Prince Charles has ridden in steeplechase races. And in the United States, families that would be names known, they have all raced. DuPont, Mellon, Vanderbilt, Whitney, Clark, Phipps. They have all raced horses.
I love that. Well, it does take
format.
money to be in any kind of horse sport, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a lot of equipment and boarding of horses, and so you usually don't see a whole lot of the poor getting to participate in that sport.
Steeplechasing is primarily conducted, as we mentioned, in Ireland, where it has its roots, in the UK, Canada, the US, Australia, France. There may be some others, but I think those are sort of the ones that are regularly having races.
And it's so funny when you hear of the biggest horse farms here in the States. Many of them are in Kentucky, and they'll often be owned by Irish companies that also have a place in Ireland. Like, that's just a very natural.
Yeah.
Horses are big in Ireland and in the South.
Yes.
And I would just say steeplechasing here in our country, in America, it was developed in the South.
Yeah.
And most of the races are still held in the South.
Yes.
They are in other places, but most of them are in the South.
Yes. So it's up there with other race formats in terms of the accolades and awards. I don't want it to sound like it's a sort of side race. It is very much a prominent. In fact, there are purses, and by purses I mean the
winnings.
Yeah, like I had to look that up just to make sure that I said it correctly. 60% of a purse would go to the winner, and it can be in the, purses of 5 million can be associated today with steeplechasing. So 60% of that going to the winner, 20% to the runner-up, and then 10% to the third place winner, with the rest going to the other racers. But yeah, the purse is just that total amount of money dedicated to being paid out to the top finisher. So yeah, $5 million was the highest that it got to 2013, and it's grown since then. And
wow, there's a lot of money in all this gambling.
There is, but you know what I also found in looking into this, there is a large kind of passion or heart component to a lot of these races. There's a lot that are conducted by nonprofit organizations.
Oh, most of these, that's what the tickets go to.
Proceeds going to local or national organizations. And so, there's millions of dollars being given out to charitable,
into children's hospitals and all kinds of things.
Yeah. So I wanted to
pretty cool.
Be sure to mention that it's not just for self-gratification and wealth building.
Well, these horses, I wanted to mention this. The steeplechase horse is a thoroughbred horse. It's the same kind of horse you're going to see run on American racetracks all over the place. Mm-hmm. In addition to speed, these horses must possess the ability to jump fences, still at a fast pace.
Yes.
So they're very athletic. They're usually a little older than the horses you're going to see running on the flat track.
Okay.
And most of them have had experience on the flat track as well.
That makes sense.
Steeplechase races are longer races than those flat track races.
Okay.
So they have to have a lot of stamina.
Yeah, and we were kind of joking even before we hit record on this. If you think of it even on a human level, which steeplechasing is sometimes synonymous with just running of the hurdles in track and field races without a horse. We were joking that hurdles would have been the very last track activity
event we would want to
we
do.
would have signed up for. That seems that you said pole vaulting as well would be
really
I think
scary. Both of
scary.
those seem scary.
If I had to even choose between those two, though, I think I would still pick pole vaulting over jumping hurdles. It is dangerous.
You gotta have some long legs too.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
when
have
you said
that, so.
stamina and we mentioned athleticism, that's real. So yeah, I think most of the races are this time period, the spring,
Yes,
the
that's
March
hence
through
why
May.
we're talking about it right now.
I came across at least 12 steeplechase races in the South.
Okay, let's talk about them.
So,
The very first one is Aiken, South Carolina. Is that the one you found?
yep. And they actually just had theirs this past weekend.
Oh, that's right.
So it's already, we're quickly moving into April. So they've already had theirs just this past weekend. They're in, is that the northwest part of the state?
It's near Augusta, Georgia, actually.
That's right. Yes.
So we have many steeplechases in April.
Yep.
April 2nd, Camden, South Carolina has the Carolina Cup races. That's kind of in the middle of the state, not too far from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yep.
And Camden is also the home of the National Steeplechase Museum.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
That is in operation from 10 to 4, Wednesday through Saturdays, September to May.
Well, that's fun to get both a race and a
museum in. And June to August, their hours are 10 to 3, Thursday through Saturday. So you can also make an appointment, apparently, if you want to go at a different time. But if you're making that trip, hit the museum as well. Maryland has 3 April races.
Go Maryland.
I know. My Lady's Manor in Moncton, Maryland. 2 of these are just north of Baltimore. That one, as well as April 23rd, the Grand National Steeplechase in Butler, Maryland. So if you're in the Baltimore area, you could hit those. April 16th in Columbus, North Carolina, there's the Tyron Blockhouse races.
Okay.
As well as Middlesburg, Virginia, and Charlottesville, Virginia. April 23rd has the Middleburg Spring Races. That one's also close to Maryland, kind of in that west of Washington, D.C. area.
Okay.
And Charlottesville has the Foxfield Spring Races. It's
that sounds fun.
I know. And it's the home of UVA, so it's just a beautiful area kind of in the middle of the state.
Yeah.
So. And I think you had something to say, too, about this one. Glendon, Maryland, the Maryland Hunt Cup. And that's not too far from the Pennsylvania line. So it's up there.
So that's always the last Saturday of April. And this one started way back in 1894, where the members of the Elkridge Fox Hunting Club challenged the members of the Green Spring Valley Hunt Club to a timber race, the first Maryland Hunt Cup. So the race organizers wanted the race to be run over natural hunting country, ridden by amateurs, and have no commercial activity. And in 1922, Worthington Valley became the permanent home of the 4-mile, 22-fence race course. Since then, the spectacle has grown. It's very family-friendly, apparently.
Oh,
and
that's sweet.
Yeah, so it's, involves an afternoon of picnicking and tailgating and it's grown in size, of course, but they only have the one race. And that's different than some of these others.
Yeah, many of these, you're going to have 5 or 6 races in a day. There is the final biggest race.
Exactly.
But it's a day of racing.
Their 4:00 Eastern local time race is the only race that day.
The only one.
But if you were interested in watching that one via live stream, you can do that this year. I don't know if they've done that for several years or not. I don't know if that's a COVID sort of inclusion, but the National Steeplechase Association will show that one on April 30th on their live stream. I'll put that link in the show notes if that's of interest to you.
Also on April 30th is the Queen's Cup Steeplechase in Mineral Springs, North Carolina. So that's just south of Charlotte, almost on that South Carolina line.
Okay.
So I think that's all of our April Southern steeplechases.
I wonder if the Queen's ever been to the Queen's Cup. She's come to races
come to
here.
The Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
It's funny when you mentioned her. She seems like the happiest when she is outside. Like just the times you see her just so joyful. And I just believe she's very much an outdoors woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which now she's elderly, so she's not getting to ride but she was riding even at a old age.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
out with her little corgis. And
I guess it seems sort of tomboyish, so it seems so opposite of what you'd expect a queen to be interested in. But a queen isn't a queen except for her lineage, so she can't help if she's got a love of the outdoors.
And she apparently really loves to spend time in their Scotland home.
Yeah, I've heard that
And
too.
I've seen pictures of it. It looks like so dreamy to me, of just like that hunt lodge kind of feel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like
That
so
sounds-
dreamy to
yeah,
me.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay.
And I
Back to reality.
I want to say, as you're going through the schedule, we have a schedule we'll post too.
Oh, perfect.
In our show notes.
So this is not going to just be
You don't have to take
overwhelming.
You don't have to take notes if you're really wanting to know any of this.
So May 7th, can we get into the May races?
Yeah.
Just west of D.C., there is the Virginia Gold Cup in Plains, Virginia.
Okay.
And then the next Saturday here in Nashville is the May 14th Iroquois Steeplechase.
So, the world...
This is the only one I've been to.
Well, and again, as I started the episode, the world revolving around me, I thought this was the only steeplechase that existed. So,
Well, when you're young, you just think we have the only ones.
well, it is beautiful. It's set in Percy Warner Park here in Nashville, and their mission is to create funds that they can support Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt Hospital here, which is a
Amazing.
very well-renowned hospital. We got to actually participate in a tailgating contest 3 years ago. Can you believe it was already 3 years ago?
This was so much fun. We got to judge the best tailgating.
And they go all out, as do, I'm sure, a lot of these
Of course.
different races. But this is the only one we've experienced firsthand. So, I'm talking about like from chandeliers to
Furniture.
furniture, themes that are on all different.
The drinks and the food were all according to theme.
full bars, bartenders,
Yes.
staffed
bartenders.
catered, with servers. I mean, and then also the very homegrown looking
For sure.
spots,
Which some of their food looked even better.
right. They've got the homemade pimento cheese and deviled eggs and just cornhole. Like, it's-
Exactly.
So there is a wide spectrum, but they are one of the races that has multiple races all day long.
Right.
And so you can be tailgating, but you could also go ahead and go inside the track and see different races happening all day long.
And as with most any horse racing, be it just on an American flat track or steeplechasing, you have the people that are dressed up and
True.
making a whole day of it. And then you have more of like the hillside
Yes.
or, sometimes the infield of
Yes.
American racetracks where that's kind of more, people in shorts and T-shirts
Right.
and a lot more casual.
But people
about
that
it.
probably know a lot more about racing. Right? Maybe, I don't know.
What, being in the...
In terms of like
I would say the people knowing more are dressed up and
yeah.
sitting in a seat.
Yeah.
Because they really want to see the race.
That's
Whereas
what I meant, versus
the party is
those that
in
are
the
tailgating.
infield or,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just about the party. They don't even...
They're like, there's a race happening
Well, there
today.
is that joke where people will say, I never saw a horse. It's like, oh, goodness. Okay. But I will say, some of this takes planning, buying a ticket.
Sure.
Obviously, if you're tailgating, you're planning a whole setup. But boy, are these weather specific as far as if it's going to be good or
I'm
not.
so glad you mentioned that. So glad, because think about April showers, right? Bring May flowers. So that's a real problem
It is.
to navigate. And yes, even into May, you can have some really chilly May days and
Yes.
some really hot May days.
That's right. So it's hard to maneuver. You got to make the plan before you know the weather. And then it really is. If it's a beautiful day, it's going to be the best.
Yeah.
But if it's messy, just get ready.
Yeah.
That's why all these rain boots of many cute colors
Yes.
have come out, because you still got to get out in the mud.
Yeah, right. Field chic, but yeah, functional. Do you have any other?
Well, the only other one is Fair Hill, Maryland, May 28th, the Fair Hill races. That's kind of in the northeast corner of Maryland. So
Okay.
we'll include that one as well.
Okay. Well, I will mention a couple that are going to be even in the fall, even as late as November.
Oh.
So that's
I didn't
interesting
get into that.
to me.
Yes.
But they're prominent enough that, and definitely worth mentioning. So Steeplechase of Charleston, which is a tradition that began back in 1792.
Of course, they start everything before everybody
I know.
else.
I know. Show offs. So their last event was November 2021. So I'm sure they'll have 2022 dates posted soon.
Yeah.
But I don't have those exact dates. But they have 5 high stake races at that event, and it's family friendly. And there is one called the Steeplechase at Callaway Gardens, which is in
Callaway Gardens.
Pine Mountain, Georgia, which is
Yeah.
in the northeast tip of the state of Georgia. And they have, again, beautiful grounds, that, stunning sort of woodland setup there. And they have a foxhound parade.
Oh, how cute.
They have pony races, Jack Russell Terrier races, a hat contest.
Okay, I want to go to this one.
Raffle drawings. It sounds very fun. Again, I don't have the 2022 dates yet, but I'm sure that they're going
We
to be
need to
posting
try to go to
those
that. That sounds so fun.
soon. So I really liked how they broadened it
Yes.
to beyond just horses.
That sounds really fun for kids, too,
Mm-hmm. Very much
to get
so.
to participate.
Very much.
Well, the National Steeplechase Association is the sanctioning body of these races, these jumping races. And so I just wanted to talk just a moment about them as well. They are based in that Fair Hill, Maryland, where
Okay.
I was mentioning that last race of the spring is. They're responsible for licensing owners, trainers, and jockeys. They establish the rules for the sport and organize the entries for the races. They also have, just some safety elements. They require the jockeys to wear certified helmets and chest protectors and meet stringent crash protection standards to make this safe.
That's good,
With the
actually.
jumping, we've seen it before where somebody's fallen off or,
Yeah.
that's always kind of startling when
Yeah.
you see something like that. And for those that are worried, the whips that they use are padded, so it protects the well-being of the
Oh, good to know.
steeplechase horses. So if it looks like they're whipping them,
Good to
it's
know.
not like
Yeah.
as bad as it looks.
Right. It's not a slashing. Yeah.
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 So anyhow, grateful for that organization that
That's
does
great.
so much to keep the integrity of the sport going.
That's so good. Yeah, you have to have some sort of governing body to keep things running smoothly in something this old and this large.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, so some of you all may have been attending steeplechase races, and some of these are so old, you may be watching from the very standpoint or seat that, like, your grandparents
I know. That
used
is
to sit and
cool.
watch these races. I would love to know if there's stories out there of people that have been attending any of these or one we didn't even mention.
You know, something that was interesting, when I mentioned I had re-listened to Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
The song My Old Kentucky Home was in that. And
Okay.
it's just those kinds of things that you go, whoa, this is old.
Yeah.
This tradition is old.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool to think about all the generations that have stood where you're standing.
Exactly.
Before.
Exactly. Yeah, we love traditions.
We do. Well, we hope we've inspired you to get the calendar out, pick one of these steeplechases to attend, pack your picnic, and I guess get your fascinator and rain boots ready just in case. We don't know what the weather may bring, but gather your people and go hit the track.
That's so good. Lainey, peace be with you.
And also with y'all.